So Song Yadong, your thoughts on the fight and fighting a young up-and-comer?
Yeah. He's, I'm 11 years his elder. He's an explosive fighter, really good at countering. He's a guy that could shut your lights off with one punch. But I think the same reason why his greatest gift is also his worst enemy too. That gas he could completely go straight to E. So I love the fact that they're giving me a younger fighter. I love the fact that my back is against the wall. There's a chip on my shoulder. I love the fact that I'm an underdog, because these are the moments where I shine, and I appreciate all of it.
So that's what I wanted to talk to you about, right? Like your career, it would be easy for people to think like, okay, Henry's got a couple of fun fights left, and that's what he's going to focus on, like the Dominick Cruz'as of the world and stuff. But here you are fighting a guy who's working his way up the rankings and building his career. Should that show us that you're still hungry to compete at the top level and you're still after more accolades rather than just having fun?
Right, of course, and I love that from the UFC. I love the fact that they're doing that. They're not just doing this legend versus legend shit. Like, you know what, I thought about it too, and I got into it with Hunter Campbell, like pretty bad. This was about a year, but then I called him back. Like, you know what? You're right. If I want to be the best in the world again, give me who you got. Give me your biggest dog then. And they originally wanted me to fight Song at the Sphere, but at that time I had an injury. So then when I called him back, I was helping President Trump a lot with this with the politics. Traveling to Michigan, doing a bunch of work in Arizona. That stuff's important to me. And I says, after the president gets elected, like, let me, I'll call you the next day. And that's exactly what happened. Like, once everything happened, once the election was pretty much over, I'm like, all right, dude, give me Song. I want him.
So should you beat Song on Saturday, do you think that pushes you right back up into title contention? Obviously, you had the fight with Merab, and I think you looked really good in the first round. Then he sort of started to get his success. Do you think it pushes you back into title contention, or do you think you're going to have to work your way up and pass a few more of these young killers before they start looking at you in gold again?
At this point, it's whatever the UFC wants, but that's also what's cool about the UFC. I lost to Aljamain in a split decision, and then at least I won a round against Merab, dude, with the torn groin, where I couldn't wrestle for 5 weeks, and that was a big mistake on my side. Ali, my mentor, they're telling me, everybody was telling me, dude, just be ready. But the hard head in me, I wanted to prove that it was a fight. Sometimes it's the risk worth the reward. And then now I look at Merab and what he's doing. I'm just like, fuck, man, this dude's a real deal. He's the best in the world. I mean, not super. I'm not surprised what he did to O'Malley. But where I am surprised is what he was able to do to Umar, man. He did. It's not like he beat him up or he did all that. He out-competed him. He got the crowd involved. He conveyed to the judges that round 5 is mine. You know what I'm saying? It's that grittiness that only like the 1%ers know about. It's the same reason why I got the victory against Demetrius Johnson. There's like an acting involved in there. Getting him to go backwards. Hitting my fist, calling him out as he's going backwards. We forget as fighters that if the fight does go to decision, who can sway the judges, who can sway the crowd, and what Merab's been able to do now is just kudos, man. You gotta tip your hat off.
So that's something that just comes with experience, you think, like younger guys?
Yeah, I think he went through his bumps and bruises, and I think confidence a little bit there, and then time, his ability of mixing his fighting, from wrestling to striking. Like the wrestling is not the key for him. It's the mixing. It's him understanding his threshold for 5 rounds. You know what I'm saying? This is why you don't see knockouts or TKOs, because he knows just the exact amount to reserve that. And that's Merab's greatest gift, his threshold.
Henry, I know that you were kind of teasing flyweight, bantamweight. Why did you eventually pick bantamweight to, I guess, continue fighting in?
Man, I got to cut the weight. I think it's pretty, But there is a potential thing that I could be going back down. With the victory here, I don't think there's anybody at flyweight that could really sell the division. I think there's too many dry people at that weight division. And I feel like what I've done in combat sports, particularly the flyweights, is saving that division back in 2020. There could be a resurrection there.
How bad of a cut would that be?
I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to think about it, dude. It's like I'm short, but man, look at like my back, man. Look at like my body's just I'm thick, but I'm thick boned, dude.
Obviously,
But it would definitely be a process, and first things first, dude. Get through Song, get through the Dong, and do it that way.
Is that his nickname for this week?
Yeah, but the Dong ain't long like Triple C. That's all I gotta say.
Obviously, Dominick Cruz'a pulled out and then eventually retired. And I just wanted to know, you guys had your rivalry and you guys have kind of spit back and forth. But can you just talk about Dominick Cruz'a choosing to retire and then just his career overall?
Yeah, I mean that's his decision. He may go back and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I want my last dance to be done correctly. I don't think he really made those adjustments as a fighter to really understand his body more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna give you guys an example. Khabib did a really good job of going through injuries and then adapting and then adjusting. How is it that he could get better? A lot of fighters have gone through that, but I don't feel like Dominick really or ever found it. Whether it was rest, nutrition, overtraining, undertraining, whatever that may be. But other than that, dude, he brought a lot of attention to the lower weight classes. His fight with Uriah Faber, his fight with Cody, his fight with all the alpha males. I mean, that's what really put, the lightweights on the map. And then obviously my rivalry and his, it's probably still not even over, dude. He probably still hates my guts as much as I hate his, But I guess the only thing I can say is I'm glad I ain't fight him because this would have really sucked, dude. And congratulations to him that he just retired.
And finally, one for me. I just wanted to know, like, over the decades, like, high-level wrestlers, for some reason, they always get injured, and like their UFC careers are kind of cut short just because they're dealing with injuries. For the most part, you've been healthy through your UFC journey, and you wrestled at the highest level, won a gold medal. How were you able to like escape all the injuries?
Honestly, I stretched a lot, man, since the beginning, since I was a kid. And I think that's what saved me from a lot of injuries. I've always been somebody that, as hard as I trained, I recovered quite a bit. And a lot of the injuries was just wear and tear, dude. Like, I remember blowing my shoulder out with Marias in that first round, and that was just from throwing so many jabs from the time I started fighting, so many shots. But I think the biggest thing is I've always took recovery to a point where people were like, really, gonna take 2 days off? Like, yeah, man, I did enough. Like, my body needs to rest, and I gotta re-attack it and then re-break it again. Even when I was training for the Olympics. I'll let you guys in on one little thing, because I like your question. Even as a high schooler, I would work out so much, like during those 5 days, that typically when the coach would say, "Hey man, you guys do something on Saturday," I would take, and this was literally I was in high school. I would take Saturday and Sunday off because I knew everything that I did throughout the week was just enough and just right, and for me to feel ready to re-break my body again on Monday. Crazy, right? Just having that belief and really recovering my body.
Henry right here. Henry, I saw you just had the partnership with Full Violence. I like the Short King branding. I got to say, what made you want to lean into it a bit? I think sometimes Short Kings don't embrace it as much. What was it like? You know what? We're rolling with it.
One, I'm a troll. So people are going to try to troll my height. You go with it. I'm not going to be a Danny DeVito. You motherfucker, you motherfucker. I'm not going to do that, dude. I've never been like that. I've always been comfortable with who I am. And I think there's a lot of money to be made because of the Short Kings. And I've made a lot of it because of it.
You've been working with a new producer on your content, Mr. Dylan Rush. Can you just talk about the contributions?
Dylan Rush? Yeah.
Talk about the contributions he's made to your team.
Oh, he's an encyclopedia, man. You talk about somebody that knows his stats of MMA. That's Dylan. Dylan is he's an up and comer. I feel like whenever the time is ready, he's going to become his own boss. And I think I've always been somebody to allow people to fly, dude. And if I can do anything to help anybody, become bigger, then that's what it is. Even as a persona, as a troll. It's like truly like the bad guys are really the good guys, man. We create storylines. And I think he's, it's all up to Dylan, man, how far he wants to take it. I think he talked about maybe working for the UFC, but I told him, like, Dylan, you're bigger than that. You could, you don't need to necessarily be, I think you're at that level where you could be your own boss and create your own content because he's super creative.
He's got a great future ahead of him. Final question. You kind of
my next question is how much money did you give?
He's the homie. He's a friend discount right there. Henry, final question. You kind of have this friendly rivalry with Kayla Harrison, both two Olympians. She's on deck, potentially, to fight for the title. If she gets that UFC belt, are you okay sharing the Triple C moniker?
There's only one, and that's Triple C, man. I think, and I'll do respect to Kayla. She's great, man. She's one of the greatest combat. If she does win this belt, she can go down as, top 5. But, man, there's nothing like winning a gold medal in wrestling. And I'll say that to anybody's face. Boxing, judo, anything, man. Like the people that I respect more than anything in this world, that I fanboy over. And I've been around Mike Tyson. I've been around all these dudes. I do not fanboy more than anybody when I meet Olympic champions in wrestling, man. In freestyle wrestling. I'm just like, and Khabib and all these guys, they're the same damn way. There's a level of respect that you have for Olympic wrestlers, and particularly Olympic champions in wrestling, that nothing else really comes close, dude.
Thank you.
Henry, you mentioned kind of the resurrection of the flyweight division. I'm just curious how you thought Pantoja has done. Are you insinuating maybe you haven't been impressed with him? Just what are your thoughts on him as a champion?
No, I love Pantoja, and that's another thing too, man. I spend New Year's, like, I'm super close to Pantoja. He's a great fighter, but I think sometimes he can create storylines because everybody's kind of dry at flyweight. Like there's no tussle. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no storylines because like when I became champion, like it was my responsibility. It was my responsibility. When I talked to Dana, they were gonna get rid of the division. Driving in his red Ferrari from the Apex, this was like, I think, Contender Series 1. I think Kevin Holland fought that in the Contender Series. And it was like, man, this is big mouth. Like, we were just talking about it. I remember driving back to him in a Ferrari, and he told me, he's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know that, I'm going to grant you your decision because after I beat Demetrius, I wanted to go up and become a double champ because the whole storyline was Demetrius Johnson versus TJ Dillashaw. I'm like, no, I'm going to beat this dude. And I kept saying it during fight week. This is back in the UFC 227. I said, I'm going to beat this dude, and I'm challenging the winner of Cody and TJ. So that's exactly what happened. So then when I was driving this car, I was like, hey, man, we're going to grant you, but we're going to get rid of the division. We're going to get rid of it, like, completely. I remember my heart just sunk, dude. I'm like, yeah, but we're going to grant you your opportunity. It just sunk. It just didn't feel right. So then I talked to Ali that day, and I'm like, Ali, I don't feel right, dude. I don't feel right getting my shot, and then that's it. The flyweight division doesn't exist. Like, you erase all of Demetrius Johnson's accolades. You erase everybody who's ever done anything. And I said, let's bring him down. So TJ wanted to go down. He wanted to come down. I'm just like, no, let's give him what he wants. So beat him at 125, and then go up, and then go to 35, and then do it again. So happened to be he was on PEDs, which a lot of people say it's, he was dehydrated. Dude, that dude was 150 when I fought him. He was bigger when we fought each other in New York than he was when he was weighing 135 pounds. It was that secret juice, dude. You guys go back and look at the stats and look at how much he actually weighed. So then that's when the whole theatrics kind of came about. It's my job, it's my duty to save the division. And I love Demetrius, dude. He was so good that there was no storyline because there was no competition. But at the same time, he never really sold it. It was too much of, too much GSP without the accent. So then I took it upon myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to come out with this snake slam it on the thing, come out with my gold medal, and just cause a bunch of fucking problems. And then that's how the King of Cringe kind of came about. Because then people started saying cringe, 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 cringe. I was like, what the hell is cringe? That was a new word to me back in 2019 or 2018. 2019, yeah. So then that's how it started. So to get back to Pantoja, I think it's his responsibility now to promote the weight division. And I mean it, and I tell him that as a brother. It's his job to sell the fight, dude. To pick it. Maybe he needs to become the bad guy.
It's kind of crazy in hindsight, too, Henry, to look at, the opponents you fought in Dominick Cruz'a, Aljamain Sterling, and Merab in particular. So I'm curious, man, how do you rank them in terms of most challenging to fight, and then how do you rank them in terms of legacy and greatness?
Yeah, they're all the top, maybe the top three, according to numbers. And I'd probably, because of how Merab did me, and the fact that he's beaten all the old and the new generation, and I think for me right now, I'd probably put him up top. From Aldo to Jan to Umar, myself. I mean, you got to respect that. Yeah, they're not title defenses, but he was able to kind of take a back seat for his brother. And I think that says a lot about their relationship and the fact that he's taking out all comers.
Best of luck.
But in combat sports, dude, that put me number one. You know what I'm saying? You got to, man. Who else would you guys put up there? Is an Olympic gold medal, what's that worth in comparison to any other combat sport? It's a lifetime dream. The 2 UFC titles, that's just icing on the cake.
Speaking of Demetrius Johnson, he's a Seattle area guy, or Tacoma, whatever, but have you spoken to him at all in the lead up to this Seattle card? Has he given you any words of wisdom, anything?
Yeah, he sent me a message, I think it was a couple weeks ago. We just chit-chatted. But no, other than 2 weeks ago, he's just, hey, man, good luck, bro. I'll be cheering for you. So it's pretty cool that, rivals kind of become friends a little bit.
I'm sure he'll have a reaction video after the fight. He'll probably be going crazy for you.
Yeah.
As far as Song Yadong goes, do you think that standing and trading with him is a good path, or are you going to mix in that Olympic wrestling?
This is MMA. And I think one of the things that I do bring to the table is my ability to make adjustments. If I have to sit there and bang with them, let's go. I can go Mexican style too. Let's go. I've done it before. I've done it with Mariah's when I have to. One thing that I do know more than anybody is winning. Despite my last 2 losses, I know what it takes, and I know where I'm willing to take my body, and I know where I'm willing to go. And I think that's the difference in my experience of competition.
Thanks.
Anything else, Dylan? You have anything? Sean O'Malley? Sure, dude. After this fight, maybe we can do it, but I don't think he would want to, man. I think stylistically, it's going to be a problem for him. Thank you. Hey, you guys make sure to go to Full Violence and get the Short King shirt. I'm out!
Can we see the shirt again?
Thank you, guys.